Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. The president crushed two members of the Democratic Party for stalling his agenda, and the president becomes the first president ever in the history of the United States to visit Tulsa, Oklahoma, to address the Tulsa Race Massacre. Now, in case you didn't know, the Tulsa Race Massacre took place on May 31st and June 1st, 1921, when mobs of white residents, many of them deputized and given weapons by city officials, attacked black residents and burned businesses of the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the president, again, was the first president in the history of the United States, President Biden, to actually visit Tulsa to address the Tulsa Race Massacre. Let's take a look at some important comments from President Biden's speech at Tulsa. But actually, even before the president began, he delayed the beginning of his speech to walk off the stage and make sure a couple of young girls in the audience got ice cream. And the president came back on the stage and said, almost 5 years old, coming to hear the president speak, "My Lord, in my faith, we call that purgatory." Let's take a look at this segment with President Biden before he began his speech in a very rare gesture. Let's watch.
And I got to make one check. I just had to make sure the two girls got ice cream when this is over. Imagine how excited you'd be when you're 4, 5, almost 5 years old, coming to hear a president speak. My Lord, in my faith, we call that purgatory.
In the next segment, let's take a look at an important comment from the president. The president said this, and I quote, "The events we speak of today took place 100 years ago, and yet I'm the first president in 100 years ever to come to Tulsa. I say that not as a compliment about me, but to think about it. For much too long, the history of what took place here was told in silence." President Biden is the first president in 100 years to ever come to Tulsa to address the Tulsa Race Massacre, which, again, like I mentioned earlier, took place May 31st and June 1st, 1921, 100 years ago. Let's take a look at President Biden.
The events we speak of today took place 100 years ago, and yet I'm the first president in 100 years ever to come to Tulsa. And I say that not as a compliment about me, but to think about it. 100 years and the first president to be here during that entire time. And in this place, in this ground, to acknowledge the truth of what took place here. For much too long, the history of what took place here was told in silence, cloaked in darkness. But just because history is silent, it doesn't mean that it did not take place. And while darkness can hide much, it erases nothing. It erases nothing. Some injustices are so heinous, so horrific, so grievous, they can't be buried, no matter how hard people try. And so it is here. Only with truth can come healing and justice and repair. Only with truth. Facing it. But that isn't enough.
Here's another very important segment from his speech in Tulsa. The president said this, and I quote, "We can't just choose to learn what we want to know. We memorialize what happened here in Tulsa so it cannot be erased. We know here, in this hallowed place, we simply cannot bury pain and trauma forever." Let's roll the tape and hear these comments from President Biden.
We do ourselves no favors by pretending none of this ever happened, or it doesn't impact us today, because it does still impact us today. We can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know. We should know the good, the bad, everything. That's what great nations do. They come to terms with their dark sides. And we're a great nation. The only way to build a common ground is to truly repair and to rebuild. I come here to help fill the silence, because in silence, wounds deepen. And only, as painful as it is, only in remembrance do wounds heal. We just have to choose to remember. We memorialize what happened here in Tulsa, so it can't be erased. We know here, in this hallowed place, we simply can't bury pain and trauma forever. And at some point, there'll be a reckoning, an inflection point, like we're facing right now as a nation.
And President Biden wasn't done yet. He said, and I quote, "with 2 members of the Senate that vote with more of my Republican friends." The president was talking about people saying, hey, why hasn't President Biden done this? Why hasn't President Biden done that? And you will hear directly from the president in his own words, talking about his razor-thin majority in the House of Representatives and the tie. Yes, the tie in the U.S. Senate, because the president needs every single senator to vote for him. And in case you're wondering who these 2 senators that he's referring to are, he's referring to the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, and he's referring to Senator Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona. Folks, it's very clear that Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin are stalling the Biden agenda. In fact, the president said so. He said, I quote, "with 2 members of the Senate that vote with my Republican friends." Let's roll the tape and hear from President Biden.
And June should be a month of action on Capitol Hill. I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done? Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House and a tie in the Senate, with 2 members of the Senate who vote more with my Republican friends. But we're not giving up. Earlier this year...
Let me know what you thought of the president's comments in the comments section below. You'll get a link to all of these video clips in the description section below. If you want to support our channel, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. It takes us a lot of effort to create these videos because there's production, pre-production, production, and post-production involved. All we ask of you is to please take a second of your time, just a second of your time beneath this video. Click the like button. Also subscribe and enable notifications if you're not a part of our community yet. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to also follow us on Twitter. Here's my Twitter feed. You'll see that our Twitter community is growing very rapidly. In fact, when you follow us on Twitter, you'll get breaking news alerts from us on Twitter. It's almost like having your own real-time news and alert service. So definitely follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is ignition_time. We look forward to seeing you on Twitter as well. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Once again, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.